Thank you so much, Darina. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first session at the Access Challenge, the Customer Experience. My name is Naomi Maryles. I'm from the international law firm of DLA Piper. I am based in Israel with my family. I moved here 6 years ago from America. And we've been working very closely with Ed and Jason and Darina and the entire Access team for a number of years. In their in-person events as well as in their virtual events over the last several months. It's really been our honor and privilege to meet so many startups and investors through the Access relationship. And what we really do at DLA on the ground here in Israel is we assist Israeli companies from small early stage startups through some of the largest corporations here with their legal needs all over the world. Specifically in the telecom industry, obviously DLA is a global law firm, and we've been helping some of the largest companies in the world, many of whom were mentioned at the beginning by Ed, as well as a number of Israeli startups, many of whom I know are attending today. So it's really an honor for me to be moderating this panel specifically on the customer experience in the telecom area. And the way that this particular panel is going to run is that I'm going to first introduce our three wonderful investors who are joining us, and they'll each give a little introduction of themselves and what they're doing and their experience as investors in the startup world, after which we will have three different startups pitching. Each of them will have 5 minutes to pitch, and then afterwards, our investor panel will have the opportunity to ask each of them questions. So I would love to take this opportunity to welcome our investors. Andrew Masila, a technology expert leader at Safaricom based in Kenya. Georgia Diamantopoulou, leader of innovation at Cosmot based in Greece, and Eduardo Duran Nardecchia, senior technology consultant at Intel based in Chile. Eduardo happens to be in a very small village in Chile at the moment, and so he unfortunately does not have video capability, but we will be able to hear him via audio. So Andrew, I would love for you to take a few minutes to introduce yourself, and maybe after that, give us a little idea of an example of either an extremely successful opportunity that you had with the startup that you invested in, or on the flip side, a very unsuccessful relationship that you had with the startup, and sort of what were the lessons learned from that relationship. Is Andrew here? I think we may have lost him. So how about Georgia, I turn to you. And you can introduce yourself first, and maybe you could maybe address the trends that you're seeing in the telecom market, and sort of how you see things going over the next 5 to 10 years after you make your short intro.
So hello to everyone. I'm Georgia Diamantopoulou, and I come from Greece. I have the part of innovation and strategic planning for the customer operations of Otec Group, that's part of Deutsche Telecom Group. So I steer and continuously look ahead outside in market innovative trends and best practices, relative resources, screen competition, and new activities. Also, I look for local and worldwide partnerships and opportunities as well. In parallel, I run cross-functional programs, collaborating closely with IT and technology in order to deliver innovative services for the telco industry. So it is indeed an honor for me being here together with people with innovative mindsets and sharing knowledge each other and best practices around the telco industry. And regarding the second part of the question, that was regarding emergency trends and technologies, key technologies regarding the customer experience. Of course, I would focus first of all on big data and analytics because it's a key component of our industry. It's very important for us to predict the customer experience and customer behavior, and make the most use of this value, because it will sure drive us on increasing efficiency and profitability, and of course promote growth as well. Of course, AI artificial intelligence is also a very huge topic that, of course, we invest and it's really important to support our customers with those technologies, since we all can see that examples like virtual AI assistants improve both B2B and B2C landscape. Of course, other technologies like Internet of Things and machine-to-machine, cloud computing, and we all know 5G that is already present, and it will change the whole telecom landscape.
Thank you so much, Georgia. And Andrew, I'm sorry we dropped you before, so I'm not sure if you heard my introduction for you, but if you can tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, and maybe add at the end an example of either a very successful partnership that you had with a startup, or on the other hand, a very unsuccessful partnership that you had, and some of the lessons that you learned from that situation.
Thank you. I'm back. I'm sure you said good words about me when I was dropped off.
only great.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm back. Andrew Masila is my name. I'm from Safaricom. Safaricom is actually a technology company based out of Kenya. It is part of the wider Vodacom and Vodafone family. Safaricom just turned 20 a little over a month ago. And basically what Safaricom provides, and even as I come to what I do, Safaricom provides telecommunication service. This would be mainly the voice, mobile data services. In addition to that, also Safaricom provides fixed connectivity for both homes and enterprises. And something else, perhaps you might also be aware about, is that Safaricom is also the home of M-Pesa. M-Pesa is a mobile money transfer service that has been revolutionary in this part of the world, where basically you can do transactions right from your phone, even including feature phones. So that has been the transformational capability of M-Pesa, running quite a huge, significant amount of the GDP of the country through that platform. And basically coming to the role that I play at Safaricom, I'm a technology expert leader that is just ensuring the organization is fit for the future, to take advantage of the new technologies, and also ensuring that we make the best out of the existing technologies within technology. And it's been interesting when you talk about Africa, especially. When you think about the median age in Africa, it's about 19 to 20 years, and that's about the same median age in Kenya. So when you think about the purpose of Safaricom in transforming lives, it really goes to that length. And our experience with startups really is that we provide innovative solutions. We provide platforms like the GSM platform, where basically customers, and it's amazing, you see businesses running out of WhatsApp, where someone actually, let's say, goes to the lake, gets some fish, takes a photo of the fish, and is able to send to the customers. And if they like the fish, they basically send money through M-Pesa, through the mobile money transfer services, and this come to customers. So what we are seeing increasingly is that we're actually enabling the startups and the SME community within Kenya. And of course, we keep sourcing for the best technology to serve these customers. And of course, as we look at the evolution into B2B, B2C, then we are coming up with platforms. Like recently, we launched almost a small accounting platform on top of our mobile money transfer service that will enable you to take account of how you've been transacting with your money. So additionally, based on that capability, we are layering. So of course, our ambition is also to see the local startup community come up, and we always provide them with the right solution. So that would be actually our experience from this part of the world with startups. But nonetheless, we also team up with quite a number of startups to see whether we can actually go to market with innovative solutions. And we have quite a number. Safaricom is a public listed company. some of them would be there right on our website. So that is how we power. And my own vision, and especially my role, when you look at customer experience. Now, one other thing I didn't mention as well is that within the Engineers Board in Kenya, Institution of Engineers of Kenya, I also sit there as the lead on Industry 4.0. Now, what that says is that within Kenya, there are many, the engineering practice is actually quite mature. And I'm actually on a mission to ensure that we can enable smartness. Indeed, from various studies, you can actually, most developing countries, and Kenya is roughly towards a middle economy now, almost, is that they can leapfrog into Industry 4.0. And actually, when you look at traditional fields, then innovative startups actually provide the required impetus to leapfrog into that. So within also Institution of Engineers of Kenya, I lead in Industry 4.0. And basically what we are saying is that when you look at things like IoT, for instance, if you want to make your factory smart, traditionally, for instance, reading things like the power you consume, power factor and everything, you'd require someone to actually manually do it. So with Internet of Things, you can basically monitor all your factories scattered across different countries without leaving the comfort of your seat. And you can actually set in your power bill using the mobile money transfer service. So these are the kind of things that you're seeing in the evolution of the customer. And now customers have stopped being people only. So when you talk about Internet of Things, actually things now start becoming your customers. So how do you give all these multiple customers? And of course, 5G comes as a natural technology where you can actually slice and dice the network and ensure that you can orchestrate it properly for all types of customers. But the other piece I want to speak to regarding customer experience and what you're seeing as a real revolution is the hyper-personalization of offers to customers. When you think about the African market and the telecommunications, most of our customers are prepaid and they make purchase decisions almost on a daily basis. So if you are to do any contextualization of any offers you're to give them, you basically have to keep a dynamic record and present to them offers on a daily basis, on a real-time basis. When you look at the income earning patterns in this region of the world, it's almost you could segment it to majority actually would lie within the daily bracket, which means you get money to spend within a day and you have to take decisions on that particular pool of money, and tomorrow you earn another bunch of money, or weekly wages. So based on that, then you have to be tactical in order to speak to offers that talk to the customer. And this is where things like real-time CVM, machine learning, and deep learning actually come into play to ensure that you keep tabs with the customer. And like I mentioned, majority of the population is about the same age as our company. The median age of the population is 20 years. So the offers have to be attuned to particularly speaking to that age. So all I can say is there's opportunity. Of course, based on that, you talked about the ARPU actually declining. And it's interesting, when you look at the population in this region of the world, then there's quite an opportunity because they're going to get into the income earning bracket very soon. And that's a potential opportunity. So I can say it's exciting times in Africa. And thanks for having me here on this platform.
Thank you so much, Andrew. That was really great, and I really appreciate your insights. I'm going to turn it over now to Eduardo, who I mentioned before, does not have video capabilities right now, but I wanted him to have the opportunity to introduce himself. Eduardo, are you there?
Hi. Good morning, Naomi.
Good morning.
I, at the moment, I am consultant in data science and a new telecom project in Entel Chile. Entel Chile is a service provider, mobile, B2C and B2B service. And at the moment, We are working in two-way projects. One is the new use case for 5G cluster. Until at the moment, we have a big cluster in 5G. It's a extended coverage in 5G in 3.5 gigahertz band, and the challenger today is develop a different use case in with this technology, more focused in B2B. And that is one way. And in the other way, my work is more focused in develop a use case in the customer experience, developing algorithm for clusterization of the customer, classification, and at the moment we are working in detect the face emotion of the customer in the shopping in the Intel shopping center. I think that I agree with Georgia today. The most important point for the customer experience is detect the emotion, detect the behavior of the customer. And for this work, it's very important the data and process the data and develop a different use case with this data. In general, the service provider have a lot of information about the customer, but in general, the use of this data is very few. I think that there is a challenger in develop more use case with this data in order to detect the different behavior of the customer. That is the two-way at the moment in my work in the innovation department in Intel. That's it.
Thank you so much, Eduardo. Really, and appreciate again the three of you taking the time today to be the investor panel. I'm going to now introduce one by one. Each startup will come up and have, like I said before, 5 minutes to make their presentation, and then the investors will have an opportunity for Q&A. I'm apologizing in advance if I have to cut off one of the startups. I've been given very strict instructions, so I'm going to blame Axis. Very strict instructions to only allow you to have 5 minutes. So I'm going to call up first Lior from Pickup. Lior, if you can turn on your camera and your microphone to take the stage.
Hello?
Hi, Lior.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes,
it's all yours.
yes.
I'm gonna turn off my mic for now, and the stage is yours.
Okay, great. So thank you for having me. I'm Leo. I'm the CEO of Pickup. I'll try to let me. Can you see it?
Yes.
Can you see it? Okay, so we are Pickup. We are an Israeli startup, and what we do is we build the next generation phone calls. Oh, wait a second until it will load. Yeah, can you see it now? Yeah. So basically, we have a patented technology already active in millions of devices in our clients in banks, telcos, and insurance in Europe. You can see the countries. Speaking about telco, we're working with Vodafone in a few countries. We are part of GSMA 100, and we are. I'm proud to say that we were selected to be one of the top 20 promising startups in the telco space in TM Forum this year. And what we do is basically when we look, we help those organizations increase sales. And when we look at today's sales channels, we see that there are three main channels of sales for telcos. 30% of the sales are going through the physical channel, which today, due to COVID, is a bit more deserted. There is 5% which is completely digital, and of course this is growing. And the rest is going through phone, because phone integrates both the remote experience of the remote option and also the ability to speak with someone, and also the push of someone that can help me buy. But the phone channel is actually broken. When you look at my telco calling me regarding a renewal or a click-to-call campaign, when they call me, this is what I see. I see a black screen. I don't know who's calling me. I don't know why. And this creates a very low trust experience. And the results are that the answering rate is very low. Those are answering rates of first attempt in Europe. It's very low. Telcos are trying many attempts to reach the clients, sometimes even 20 attempts. And almost any second call get hanged up in 5 to 10 seconds because it's not good for the clients. So we see ridiculously low efficiency in contact center. We see frustrations both from the agents and the clients, and there are lost sales, huge amount of lost sales because of this problem. We at Focus, we at Pickup, we are on focus on the 60% of your audience that actually don't speak with your agent, even though you put a lot of effort on this channel. And you have AI and BI and data, and you know how to get the right proposition for the right client. Still, they just don't speak with the agent. And when we explore to see what are the reasons, we see that the main reason for that is just lack of trust. People do not trust this black screen, and lack of trust is the main reason. But there is also bad timing and poor experience. So the question is, what can you do to improve it? And the way we solve it is by transforming the digital the experience of the phone call to what you see on the left becomes what you see on the right. So now the customer has this beautiful, contextual, personalized screen. He knows exactly who's calling him and why, and he can gladly pick up the phone. And the results are amazing. There is much more answering rate, more availability of the client, and more sales. And all of this is not only the beautiful front end. Is like Eduardo said and Giorgio said, the BI is very important. The data is very important. So now you can, for the first time, you can optimize your calling campaigns based on data. You can show different messages, different screens, different text to different clients according to the data you have. And it's amazing how much impact it has on the results. If you approach the right client with the right message according to data you know about him, let's take the age, for example. If you put an image that is talking with this age, it will create much better results. We have other functionalities. So, for example, we're also transforming the missed call notification from what we see on the left to something more personalized. Now the customer can, if he missed the call, he can know that you were calling him. He can call back. He can open chat. He can convert to WhatsApp channel. Also, the customer can click on a call me later button. If I'm now in a meeting, I have a call from my telco, I will click on a call me later button and ask them to call me between 1 to 4. This becomes a task to the client, my agent to call me in the CRM. And also there are post-call engagement screens. So basically we transform the whole customer journey over the phone call. And the results are just amazing. Those are the results that we see from telco space. So we dramatically increase the answering rate. We reduce the call attempts needed to reach the client by 50%. We reduce the hangups by 50%. And we increase sales dramatically in 60% in average for months in different campaigns. I put here some 3 campaigns that we did in the last 3 months with Vodafone and other telcos with more than 1 million calls. And you can see dramatic results, especially in cross sales, when you see that the answering rates go very high when you target a customer that have a fixed line and you now want to sell a TV. So they are more willing to buy and listen to the agent when they know it's you calling and they know why and they trust their telco company about that. The way we do all this magic, the way we do it work, we don't want the customer to install any new app. So what we do basically is we embed our technology into the already installed mobile app of the telecom. And also we do it via RCS. So the customer doesn't need to install any new app and they can receive our calls. And also we have for telcos, we have another value proposition that you can offer your enterprise clients, for example, banks, insurers, utilities. You can also provide them the ability to call like that to your customers. And we have a win-win situation because the enterprise calling their customers with much better screens, they make more money and they are paying the telco for this service. And also the customer, the end customers are much happier. They get much better calls. They have more transparency of who's calling them, and they get the ability to control the call much better. This is a testimonial from a client for Vodafone. You see that they see that pickup technology improve the customer and agent satisfaction. We see agents really happy to get this service and to call like that to the customers, and significantly increase the outbound sales, which is very important. And I don't know if you hear it, but the future is calling. So just speak up. We'll be happy to speak with any one of you and help you to reach better KPIs in your and transform the way you call your clients. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lior. Before I turn over to the panelists for questions, first I want to apologize. I kept calling you our investor panelists because I'm used to always doing investor panels on these Axis events, but actually you're a telecom panel. So I just want to apologize because I didn't want to confuse anyone. This was not an investor panel. So I'm going to turn over questions now to the telecom panelists to speak to Lior.
Thank you, Leo, for a very good presentation. I'm actually quite curious about it. And I wanted to know, are there limitations in terms of device capability to support the functionality? And also speaking about Android, iOS, and the rest. And number two, what level of effort does it take to have a demo or have it up and running? Yep.
Very good question. So first, we support Android from Android 5 and above, and iPhone, I think, from iOS 9 and above. So we support 90 or 95% of, more than 95% of the devices. And regarding doing it as if you want to do a pilot or a demo, basically it takes 1 day of implementation of your mobile team for any platforms of Android 1 day, iOS 1 day, and then a few days of testing, and you can up and running. You can start calling your clients and see the results. We do it fairly, and we do it from remote. Unfortunately, today, before we were flying, to our clients, but now it's more from remote. But we can do the whole process from remote.
All right, and then a follow-up question: how do you take care of scenarios of fraud where someone can mimic the user interface? How would you take care of such scenarios?
Yeah, so we are in Israel. It's like the cyber security country. So every second guy here is a cyber expert, and we did a lot of work because of it. And we work also with financial organizations. So we did a lot of work in order to be able to block, for example, spoof calls and spam calls. And we have a protection measures that make sure that no one can spoof the same experience using the same lines. Or let's say spoofing your calling numbers. So it's very, we put a lot of effort to make it very safe. And this is the reason we work even with banks in Europe.
Okay, is it possible to customize it and have a very unique ringtone as well so that it's distinct?
Basically, we can do a ringtone as well. On our patent, we can send even the ringtone. Usually we don't do it because the customers are used to answer to their own ringtones.
Yep.
But theoretically, we can do it.
Okay, thanks.
Asante.
Lior, one question. Yeah. What do you think about the new generation child? Because it's typical the new generation don't call any person. The call is very I don't know, it's very old type of communication for this new generation. What do you think about this aspect, about the future of the call? Because my children no call any person, all is by chat or by different other aspect. What do you think about the future, Divs?
It's a good question. I think first there is a little bit of confuse from inbound and outbound, because we make most of the sales are outbound. You need to, let's say, approach your customer, talk with your customer. You can do it by chat, but if you look at SMS, conversion rates are very low. Now they're starting to do RCS, which also is not as efficient as voice. I think voice, maybe in the future, bots will call you. I think we are transforming it to become digital. Our calls look like more like WhatsApp, like video, like we put animation, GIFs. We do it more digital and more visual, but still you need to call the customer actively, because even those childs, I have a 70-year-old boy, he will never renew his package. Someone needs to remind him. And what we do is transform the way, instead of the old-fashioned way, you just hear a ringtone. Now you see something which is very live and speaking with him in his own language, but you still need to approach proactively. And I think voice is part of our hardware as humans. Voice is very efficient. Also, video. This is why we're doing it not only by text. When it's something complex like buying a 5G plan and you want to buy a plan for your family, you want to consult with someone, and this is the reason we see that calls are still here and they are the main channel. So I think it will become more and more digital, but still voice will remain.
All right.
Any other questions from our panelists? Okay, Lior, thank you so much. I do have to say this really spoke to me because for sure, every time I get a phone call with a 1-800 number that I don't know, there is no way that I'm picking it up. So I definitely see the need for this type of a service, and I appreciate you showing it to us. Best of luck to you. And I'm going to turn it over now to our next startup. Thank you. Richard from Nardecchia.
Hello there.
Hi, Richard.
Hey, can I ask you whether you can see my screen okay?
Yes, it just loaded. Yeah.
Okay, great. So 5 minutes, tons of stuff to get through. I'll shift gears pretty quickly.
I'll give you a few extra. We have a few extra minutes.
Bless you. Hi there, everyone. My name is Richard Gray. I'm the Vice President of the Customer Organization here at Nardecchia. And very pleased for the opportunity here to tell you about our company. Nardecchia is a company that's about just over 5 years old now, and we built a scalable SaaS solution with a view of closing the customer experience gap in the last mile of the journey, which I'll explain very, very shortly. And the company itself is built on a management team that has domain expertise spanning auto, finance, banking, telco, and insurance. I myself worked 20 years within SaaS and telco with companies like BT, Vodafone, et al. And our company is born around obviously understanding your business. And with SaaS, we know that we have to deliver proven ROI. And as you can see from some of the customer logos in the background, we're working with some pretty familiar names. And because of that, we need to obviously be assured that we're doing things correctly in accordance to all of the regulations and certification requirements that's needed with telcos in a heavily regulated market. ISO 27001, SOC 2 Type 2, GDPR, et cetera, et cetera. So the customer experience gap. Today, customers are expecting a very immediate experience. They expect to be able to process any inquiry anywhere. They have a supercomputer in their hands and they believe that they have the power of the world at their fingertips. And why not? They're expecting to change details, submit documents, pay, fill forms, or give sign and consent with a click or a swipe. But that's still not the case. We've been talking about digital transformation for the last 20 years and probably for the next 20. But today's agents are ill-equipped to deal or deliver that experience. So just give you an example, the customer journeys are pretty long and painful. What starts out with a call on many instances could end up on the web, being reverted back to a phone call, to the web. Very often you might need to print things out, scan them, email them, if there's information that needs to be collected from customers. This creates a very, very painful experience. We even have tier 1 banks that are still using fax. Nardecchia aims to streamline that journey with a swipe and a click by using a mobile collaboration platform tool. We've built our mobile collaboration platform on a rock bed of security and compliance. And then on top of that, we've built a series of different micro applications or customer input types. So whether you want to fill out an e-signature, share media or videos, identify that someone is who they say they are, make secure payments in a very swift manner, co-browse or co-view details, or provide just a generally better experience, we have these micro applications, and they are stitched together with a very intelligent workflow engine. Very often the use cases that our customers in telco need, they involve one or two or more of these in a stepped process that can sometimes take more than one interaction. We've built the intelligence and a workflow engine to be able to stitch them together in a workflow manner. We also appreciate that the channels by which customers wish to communicate is not just phone. So whilst they have their supercomputer, they may be accessing a form or giving consent through an application or speaking to an agent or through a website or self-service, as we refer to it. And we obviously integrate with all these channels. And as you can be aware, with call centers or busy call centers in such companies as yourselves, there are many, many systems that we need to integrate with. And we've built very open APIs to be able to do that. And all of these things together enable us to service a number of use cases in the entire customer lifecycle. Going back to some of those capabilities, whether you want to sell a phone and actually verify the phone and the color by sending someone a product visualization or marketing material, whether you want to send them specific terms and conditions to be able to provide a compliant sales journey, calculating all of the pricing correctly in a manner which is easy to do. So it's basically a digital aid to a telesales process. Whether it's to give consent on changes made to an account or make secure payments or even review a bill. All of this can be done via Litico and currently is at scale with a swipe and a click on each of those use cases. And to give you an example of that, the telesales use case we were talking about. Today, telcos are selling more and more items. You know, it's a handset, it's a phone line, it's a TV package, it's internet with varying speeds. I wouldn't be surprised if you soon started selling washing machines. And all of these things sitting on an order over the telephone is obviously very, very technical in all of their individual parts and hard to remember. And obviously there's a low customer confidence just simply to say, I will buy. With Litico, an advisor can type in a price offer in the CRM, hit send, and what will actually happen next is that the customer will receive an invite to a Litico session. They will open the session and be presented with the exact terms and conditions and pricing to be able to close that interaction. What we're seeing from this is an average increase in ARPU of between 10 and 20% because customers have a higher confidence in buying more expensive products. So the product mix is obviously getting better as well. There's a massive increase in the Net Promoter Score. This is a much more enjoyable experience and a CX for your customers. And of course, this reduces the propensity to call back. You can imagine as well that if you don't have to read lengthy terms and condition scripts, then the average handling time is also a bonus that you can offer. Another such example on the service side, as I mentioned, we service all manner of different use cases in the customer lifecycle, your customer's lifecycle. A lot of customers, high volume, will call in to change details, whether they want to change their address or they want to change the ownership. These processes are not so easy. You also need to validate the people are who they say they are. With Litico, you can actually divert any human call, that if someone calls a call center and presses 5 to change address, that the IVR, if detects a mobile number, will just simply send out a Litico session directly. We also have identity verification as part of our platform, so you can ask them to identify who they say they are. And then we also have KBA and different types of DPA checks. And then you can send them a consent form, which is linked direct into your CRM. So this type of integration obviously is 100% automated workflow. What you're doing there is diverting a use case, and there are lots of them, as we know, which would normally be handled by an expensive agent, and you've now automated that workflow process and made that experience seemingly more enjoyable to the customer. And the third one, going back to the service side, very often you'll have a high volume of people calling in to understand that complex bill for the complex series of products that they've purchased. And this drives a lot of calls into the call center. With Litico, what your call center agents or advisors can do is just simply pull up the bill on the CRM, hit to open a Litico session, the bill is pulled into Litico and shared with the customer, and they can now annotate the areas of the bill that they have questions of, and at the real time, the agent will be able to see and scroll and share that co-viewing experience with the customer to solve their questions on the spot. As you can imagine, the main driver here is NPS, because customer frustration in waiting to speak to someone, and then a very lengthy bill conversation with your customers ensues. We can actually cut all of that out. Conscious of
Richard,
time.
about 10 more seconds, okay?
Okay, Lytico customer approach. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Then we have an extra 9 seconds for questions. Thank you so much, Richard. I'm going to turn it over to our panelists to ask their questions.
Thank you.
So hello. One question would be regarding, big companies' essential customers' data, and how you can make sure that no one has access to those data.
That is a very, very important part of that. We actually provide an array of different data storage options. So if it's a form that you're looking to get consent for, usually that needs data vaulting because you need to keep that record accessible. So we integrate with any data vaulting, or we can just pass that to your CRM and expunge, remove any data on our side. So you just simply have very loose metadata on that a call was started and a call ended. It's the easiest and most secure way to deal with that part. Data in transit, we're AWS hosted, and we regularly conduct penetration testing by a number of security, ethical hacking is not the term these days, but providers.
Thank you. And I have also a second question, if I can. Mm-hmm. So if a company has already, let's say, a corporate mobile application, how easy is for you to integrate with a corporate mobile application and, let's say, upgrade the capabilities that we give to our customers?
Yeah, we have all manner of open and RESTful APIs that we can just simply offer these kits to your development team. We actually already have a Mexican financial services internet banker that's actually using our solution in accordance with their banking app. So it's a seamless transaction. We've actually designed our solution to sit behind your front-end business systems. We are merely a conduit to communicate with your customers.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
I have a question in terms of implementation on the phone. Is it a native implementation or it's through an application?
That's a very good question. It's actually through a web browser. So whatever web browser the phone has, it's just an invite via SMS to invoke a web session which is opened in the browser. So there's no installation required, and we wanted to ensure that there was no lengthy downloads for customers.
Okay, thank you.
Richard?
Thank you. Eduardo, any questions from you?
Yeah, Richard, the KPI, I don't know, the reduction of the call handling time or the increase of the customer NPS or the VCR, it's a real-time KPI about these results?
Yeah, it varies slightly use case to use case, also country to country. In Europe, you've got Ofcom, so it's very, very heavily regulated. So agents need to read scripts. In other Telefonica, Latin American Telefonica branches, for instance, they still have scripts, even though the regulations are slightly less tight. And the ability to remove the need for agents to read scripts for pricing or terms and conditions is an instant win. You just simply take all of that away because you're presenting all those terms and conditions directly to the customer, and they're the ones that are giving their consent. There's also an audit trail, which is admissible in a court of law, which is appended to each signed and consented document.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Any other questions from any of our panelists for Richard before we move on to our last startup? Okay, we're good. Richard, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Richard.
Appreciate you being with us.
More interesting.
Okay, and now I'm going to call up our last startup, Ellie from Augment. I see Ellie's joined us. Hi, Ellie, welcome. Yes, we hear you. Welcome.
My earphones did the problem. I don't know. I apologize on behalf of them. So what I said,
No
I don't
worries.
know if I'm lucky or unlucky to be the last one, maybe lucky for you, unlucky for me. Not only that, but I'm going to take this discussion to a totally different direction. So my screen with you. Augmind is a company that is doing mixed reality, hyper realistic content for mobile devices. So a company is a young company, only 2 years old, and based on a lot of experience of the two co-founders that came from working with NBC Universal, with Viacom, with Saban Group, and so on and so forth. And basically what we are doing is we are doing, as I said, hyper-realistic content for augmented reality, virtual reality, especially focusing on enabling that to run on mobile. We are, just to mention, in the middle of a fundraising round. We are raising $2.4 million, and we already raised 50% of it. And what basically we are doing is we are enabling, as I said, hyper-realistic content to run on mobile, but one of the biggest issues that there are in the market today is that if you want to do it, there are two issues. A, if you are able to transfer hyper-realistic content from, let's say, a gaming console or a PC, and you want to do it right now on a mobile, usually if you want to maintain the quality, the problem is that the time it will take you to do it and to optimize your content is a very long and tedious time, and you need a lot of experts to do that. We created a platform that actually is doing that automatically at the ratio of 10x, which means you can create the same, maintain the same level of quality while you are doing it in a ratio of 10% of the time. You don't need experts. The system will do it almost automatically. And obviously the outcome is also the cost of transferring a hyper quality content from a device to a mobile device would cost you 10%. We just did a project for a Japanese company that they had to pay on a project like that something like $350,000 just to create a whole scene, and we did it for 35. So this is the arena where we are. Basically, talking about that, we are talking about a technology that today there are two problems. One, in many cases, as I said, if you want to move the content, you have to go into a very tedious process. But not only that, in many cases, if you take, for example, EA Sports, and you want to move their gaming into a mobile console, platform or device, what will usually happen is that in many cases, you cannot maintain the same quality of content. So either you compromise on the quality or you are unable to get the results you want to. In many cases, using our technology, you can maintain the same quality and still run it on a mobile device. And when I'm talking about a mobile device, obviously it's not just a phone, could be VR glasses, could be a tablet, could be anything that is considered to be mobile, okay? Now, having said that, I want to give you 3 examples, and I think that my presentation will be very short, so we'll have more time of questions if there are any. So just to give you a few examples, how do we utilize our technology related to mobile operators and telcos. So for example, we did a test application for AT&T where we created a game for them that a potential customer is chasing the gremlins. And while they are chasing the gremlins, actually it takes you in a virtual reality, it's augmented reality, and you go actually in the street, and you actually get, at the end of the game, you get to an AT&T store. So actually it's a kind of a game that takes you and engage users to get in access to you. The next one, the next example is again with AT&T. We did a test of while people are using bandwidth with their mobile device, they identify that the demand for bandwidth is growing. So automatically the user will get a promotion for upgrade and an offer for upgrade for their bandwidth, because they are heavily using gaming or other applications. By the way, COVID did a lot of good to what we are doing, because all the arenas of retail and real estate are more and more looking into getting the ability to offer and to sell products over a mobile device, usually a phone, but not only a phone. We see a lot in the real estate, the necessity to actually go into an apartment, whether it exists or doesn't exist, and to be able to place kitchen, furniture, things like that. But people are looking at a realistic, a hyper-realistic view of what they are seeing in order to be convinced. And also retail, jewelry, but also clothing and the other types. So this is really increasing very, very much in the last few months, unfortunately, because of COVID and things like that. The last example I want to show is a development that we did together with Magic Leap. In this case, AT&T was involved, but we built together with them a virtual surgery room, where it's used basically for training of physicians in order to train them on different and various types of surgeries.
Ellie, I'm going to cut you there because we only have 4 minutes left to this panel discussion. Sorry?
I knew you were going to do that, so I finished my presentation.
Perfect. Perfect timing. Acharon Chaviv. I'm going to turn it over. We just have a few minutes left for the panelists to ask any questions before we close the session. So I'll turn it over to you guys.
Eli?
Yeah.
Hi. Today, I am checking different use cases in 5G, and we more focus in virtual reality and digital twin. And the big problem in my experience in this use case was the latency of the virtual reality application. What is your experience about the latency? Because today the more problem in this use case is the latency. The latency it's about 20 milliseconds. But 20 milliseconds is very high time for virtual reality application. What did you experience about this?
I must say that with 5G, we don't have yet any experience, but if I go for a second back to 4G, what I can tell you is that one of the things that you see a latency is because the files, if you want, again, if we're talking about hyper-realistic quality, again, the problem is that the files are very, very big. And if you're talking about a mobile device, you're talking about an issue that is a combination between a little bit CPU, but mostly GPU.
All right.
And because of that, because the file is very big, you get latency. What we do is the ability to reduce the size of the file while maintaining the quality at a ratio of almost 10% of what was before. So by definition, you improve the latency, but again, this needs to be checked on a specific project because it varies.
Okay. Hi, Kelly.
Thank you. Andrew, you're on mute. You have to unmute yourself.
So I had a question.
No
what time does it take to build a use case? And you can take us through a simple, medium, and complex use case on the platform.
Well, the question of how much time do they take very much relies on what kind of a project do you want to do as a test case. I can tell you that, again, we did just now a project with a Japanese studio actually to create some commercial materials. And this was a project that took us, let's say, around 3 weeks to do. and the cost to them was somewhere around 10K. So, you know, that's only one example. For AT&T, for example, we did 2 projects. They were much more expensive, and they took us, let's say, between 6 to 8 weeks. But that obviously depends on the size of the project and what exactly needs to be done.
Thank you. So we have about 30 seconds left, so I'm just going to take the opportunity to first of all thank the audience for staying with us. Secondly, to thank our panelists, Georgia and Andrew and Eduardo. Really appreciate you coming and taking time out of your busy schedules and listening to the pitches and asking really good questions. So thank you for joining. And lastly, thank you to the startups, to Ellie and to Richard and to Lior. Thank you for presenting. And, you know, I know that there's a lot of opportunity for networking and one-on-one. So I hope you all stick with us till the end of the program. Thank you, Ed and Jason and Zarina, for giving me the opportunity to moderate. And with that, I will end this session.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you all. Thank you.